Okay, let's do this. I don't have a name, but it says there are times when. Okay, this is written kind of weird, but someone wrote in about their husband and says there's times when he has such a suspicious mind about me. How do I deal with that? Thinks the wrong things about me. So, this is a jealousy question. We'll say overtly jealous. What would you tell a wife whose husband is maybe jealous about her and over demanding so? What would you tell her?
You mean, I see what you're saying.
Basically, the way I take this, he has suspicions about her, like, hey, who are you hanging out with? Who's that guy over there? Who's this? Who texted you?
And I would say, well, why does he feel that way? I mean, what kind of I don't know. I just think that if Mitch were asking me those questions, I must have skated a line somewhere. That's just my opinion. But
right.
Anyways.
I think that goes into it, though.
Yeah. Well, the Bible, I'm going to start with what the Bible says. The Bible says that nobody can stand against jealousy, and nobody can stand against a jealous husband, right? I mean, and I'll let you do your own topical Bible study on the word jealousy and jealous. God is a jealous God. What jealousy basically says, paraphrase here, is that I'm the best for you. I'm all that you need, and you need to give your full attention to me. And that's okay when it's coming from God. He is all that I need, and I should be giving my full attention, and I should be honoring and obeying him and doing all those things. But when you're talking about between humans, it kind of skates a line into selfishness, I think. Jealousy is selfishness, basically, is that you're giving your time and attention to something else, and it belongs to me. So that's in a nutshell. That's what I'm thinking as I'm praying about this right now. I don't know the specifics of this lady's situation and why she's asking the question. If her husband is not a believer, maybe he just has basically a suspicious nature. There are times where I have dealt with women whose husbands are being suspicious and jealous, and it's because they're doing something wrong. So, case in point, I had a friend who her husband was thinking that she was, every time she was at the grocery store or something, she was meeting some guy. Well, it's because he was doing something like that himself. And so he was projecting it onto her. So that could be an issue. How is she dressing? I've had that situation where a husband's jealous and upset because of the way his wife is dressing. She's dressing provocatively, not heeding what he's asking her to do. That's wrong. So, I mean, that could be something, insecurity on the husband's part. So why is he insecure? Is he insecure because, as we just said, you're not honoring and obeying him and loving on him and treating him like the man that he is? So you have to communicate. Like you said last week, you got to sit down and talk to him. You got to find out why. Ask him why. And once you have, hopefully, he can tell you, then you need to take that at face value. This is something that I learned, and it's not anything to do with the jealousy issue. But I remember God telling me once, is you keep asking Mitch what the issue is that he's upset at you about, but you argue with him when he tells you what it is. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'm going to just leave that right there. Mm-hmm. That's pride. I mean, he's telling me what the issue is, and I'm arguing with him about it. I'm telling him that's not true. So I think sometimes we women aren't listening to our husbands. We're not listening to this or watching for the signals or heeding those things. But I just think that that there might be a reason why he's feeling suspicious or being suspicious and feeling jealous, and you have to, with the Lord, figure that out. Because you're not giving me any specifics. That's really all that I can think of right now. Maybe Jenny has something else, or you have something else.
Everything you said is right, and I mean, there's not enough information in the question to really give you the answer that you're looking for, and without full counseling session, you wouldn't be able to speak to more than that.
Right,
so.
and as we've always say, if you live here in the Tri-Cities, or you go to Calvary Chapel, or you don't, we offer counseling services. You can come talk to me. You can talk to Jenny if you're at church, or there's all kinds of people you can talk to. So if we didn't help you in that, please come and tell us the specifics so we can help you deal with it.
So just in general, because I think this is maybe an issue that comes up quite a lot, especially people maybe who aren't Christians, but what I see in the world, like in the workplace, and this goes not just female but male too, I think it's 50-50, is that you'll have, I'll watch coworkers and they're like flirting with their friends that are not their wives, like they're coming up and giving them back massages, or they're doing things, and I see this all the time in the workplace. And it's like, okay, if your husband or wife were in the room, would you be doing that? Probably not.
Probably not.
And if you were, like, what do you expect them to do? So if those are the types of things that the way you're conducting yourself, you've already mentioned the way you dress, and stuff like that. Maybe there's a reason for him to be or her to be jealous.
Exactly.
And you need to change some stuff because in a marriage, like you said, God's jealousy and love is supposed to be, you and them alone.
Exactly.
Not back massages to your, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so maybe that's on that side. And on the flip side is that maybe, maybe they just have like no confidence and they have trust issues and stuff. And maybe they're not doing things. So you can't really pinpoint it.
And and sometimes you can deal with those issues of insecurity and even deal with, okay, I'm trying to dress the way he wants and I'm not doing those things that you just mentioned, and he can still be jealous. Well, then that's when you have to, again, trust in the Lord and pray for him and speak the truth in love. Just speak the truth in love and don't allow his sinfulness to affect you in such a way that now you're going to fall in, that you're going to sin. So that's the thing about marriage, is that Mitch, I can be in sin, but Mitch does not have to respond to that. But if he responds in kind, and what I mean by that is if he responds to my sinfulness in a sinful way, God's not up there going, oh, that's okay. Now we're both in sin, and we need to deal with it. So.
Okay, one more thing too. I don't see how in a marriage, you can make it without having 100% trust with that person, right? And so my wife, she's just like supermodel. She's like a beautiful woman. And so if I was always when she gets a text, I never in my head, I never think, well, I wonder who that is. Even if it's 10 o'clock at night, I don't have the jealousy thing. Well, part of that is because we have 100% trust and confidence in each other, but also, she represents herself in a way that allows me to trust her. Right. And, and you hear this a lot, like Billy Graham would never have lunch with another female by himself, even his sister, just for the representation of what other people would think. Right. And if you're conducting yourself in that manner, you're setting that other person up to be able to trust you and not have those doubts and stuff that Satan puts in your head, especially in the free-for-all world that we live in, where not everyone, but the divorce rate, the affair rate, the cheating rate, the sexual morality is just rampant. Right. It's a tough environment.
Yeah. And I struggle with insecurity, and it can come out in my relationship with Mitch, because being a pastor, he talks to everybody and he spends a lot of time with people. I have to share him with a lot of people, and that doesn't just stop when he hops in on his motorcycle and comes home. And so I struggle with insecurity, but what both he and I have found, and what we discovered through prayer and arguing and all those kind of things, and counsel ourselves, is that when I'm feeling that way, Mitch knows that the answer is to value me, is to spend a little bit more time with me. He's lacking something somewhere, and so he approaches it from that point of view. So he doesn't get upset at me. He just says, I'm sorry, I must not be spending enough time with you, or maybe he's not talking with me enough, or he's not whatever. So if this woman's husband has been asking her for her time, and she's too busy with the kids, her friends, her workouts, her work or whatever, well, then he's going to feel that he's second place to her. I like that, yeah. So all she has to do is just start valuing him in his relationship. But if Mitch begins to start valuing me and our relationship, and I'm still insecure, well, that's my problem. He can't help me with that. Only Jesus can. So.
Amen.
And my friends tell me that.
All right, you good on that?
I'm fine.
Anything else? Okay.